I'm Jeremy. Today's day 302 of reading. Today we're reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's get started. Okay, we are currently on page 521. Let's go. I got my clarinet today. I'm so happy. It's very nice. Path. Following Cyrus's wagging tail, sweating in the sun, the shoulder straps of Harry's bags cutting into his shoulder. Then, at last, Cyrus slipped out of sight, and when they reached the place where he had vanished, they saw a narrow fissure in the rock. They squeezed into it and found themselves in a cool, dimly lit cave. Tethered at the end of it, one end of his rope around a giant rock, was Buckbeak the Hippogriff, half gray horse, half giant eagle. Buckbeak's furious orange eyes flashed at the sight of them. All three of them bowed low to him, and after regarding them imperiously for a moment, Buckbeak bent his scaly front knees and allowed Hermione to rush forward and stroke his feathery neck. Harry, however, was looking at the black dog, which had just turned into his godfather. Cyrus was wearing ragged gray robes, and the same one that he had been wearing when he had left Azkaban. His black hair was longer than it had once been when he had appeared in the fire, and it was untidy and matted once more. He looked very thin. "Chicken," he said hoarsely after removing old daily profits from his mouth and throwing them down on the cave floor. Harry pulled open his bag and handed over a bundle of chicken legs and bread. "Thanks," said Cyrus, opening it, grabbing a drumstick, sitting down on the cave floor, and began on the cave floor and tearing off a large chunk with his teeth. "I've been living off rats mostly. Can't steal too much food from Hogsmeade. I draw attention to myself." He grinned up at Harry, but Harry returned the grin only reluctantly. "What are you doing here, Cyrus?" he said. "Fulfilling my duty as a godfather," said Cyrus, gnawing on the chicken bone in a very dog-like way. "Don't worry about it. I'm pretending to be a lovable stray." He was still grinning, but seeing the anxiety on Harry's face, said more seriously, "I want to be on the spot. Your last letter, well, let's just say things are getting fishier. I've been stealing papers from every time someone throws one out. And by the looks of things, I'm not the only one who's getting worried." He nodded at the yellowing daily profits on the cave floor, and Ron picked them up and unfolded them. Harry, however, continued to stare at Cyrus. "What if they catch you? What if you're seen? You three and Dumbledore are the only ones around here who know I'm an animagus," said Cyrus, shrugging and continuing to devour the chicken leg. Ron nudged Harry and passed him the daily profits. There were two. The first bore the headline, "Mystery Illness of Bartimaeus Crouch." The second, "Ministry Witch Still Missing. Minister of Magic Now Personally Involved." Harry scanned the story about Crouch. Phrases jumped out at him. "Hasn't been seen in public since November. House appears deserted. St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries declined comment. Ministry refuses to confirm rumors of critical illness." "They're making it sound like he's dying," said Harry slowly. "But he can't be that ill if he managed to get up here." "My brother's Crouch's personal assistant," Ron informed Cyrus. "He said Crouch is suffering from overwork. Mind you, he did look ill. Last time I saw him close," said Harry slowly, still reading the story, "the night my name came out of the goblet. Getting his comeuppance for sacking Winky, isn't he?" said Hermione, and edged her voice. She was stroking Buckbeak, who was now crunching up Cyrus's bones. "I bet he wished he hadn't done it now. Bet he feels the difference now she's not here to look after him." "Hermione is obsessed with house elves," Ron muttered to Cyrus, casting Hermione a dark look. Cyrus, however, looked interested. "Crouch sacked his house elf?" "Yeah, at the Quidditch World Cup," said Harry, and he launched into the story of the Dark Mark's appearance and Winky being found with Harry's wand clutched in her hand, and Mr. Crouch's fury. When Harry had finished, Cyrus was on his feet again and had started pacing up and down the cave. "Let me get this straight," he said after a while, brandishing a fresh chicken leg. "You first saw the elf in the top box. She was saving Crouch a seat, right?" "Right," said Harry, Ron, and Hermione together. "But Crouch didn't turn up for the match?" "No," said Harry. "I think he said he'd be too busy." Cyrus paced all around the cave in silence. Then he said, Harry, did you check your pockets for your wand after you'd left the top box? Harry thought hard. No, he said finally. I didn't need to use it before you got into the forest, and then I put my hand in my pocket, and all there was in there were my omnioculars. He stared at Cyrus. Are you saying whoever conjured the mark stole my wand in the top box? It's possible, said Cyrus. Winky didn't steal that wand, Hermione insisted. The elf wasn't the only one in the box, said Cyrus, his brow furrowed as he continued to pace. Who else was sitting behind you? Loads of people, and Harry, said Harry. Some Bulgarian ministers, Cornelius Fudge, the Malfoys, said Ron suddenly, so loudly that his voice echoed all around the cave, and Buckbeak tossed his head nervously. I bet it was Lucius Malfoy. Anyone else? Said Cyrus. No one, said Harry. Yes, there was. There was Ludo Bagman, Hermione reminded him. Oh, yeah. I don't know anything about the Bagman, except that he used to be Beater from the Windborne Wasps, said Cyrus, still pacing. What's he like? He's okay, said Harry. He keeps offering to help me with the Triwizard Tournament. Does he, now? Said Cyrus, frowning more deeply. I wonder why he'd do that. Says he's taken a liking to me, said Harry. Said Cyrus, looking thoughtful. We saw him in the forest just before the dark mark appeared. Hermione told Cyrus. Remember? She said to Harry and Ron. Yeah, but he didn't stay in the forest, did he? Said Ron. The moment we told him about the riot, he went off to the campsite. How do you know? Hermione shot back. How do you know where he disapparated to? Come off it, said Ron incredulously. Are you saying you reckon Ludo Bagman conjured the dark mark? It's more likely he did it than Winky, said Hermione stubbornly. Told you, said Ron, looking meaningfully at Cyrus. Told you she's obsessed with house. But Cyrus held up a hand to silence Ron. Well, the dark mark had been conjured, and the elf had been discovered holding Harry's wand. What did Crouch do? Went to look in the bushes, said Harry, but there wasn't anyone else there. Of course, Cyrus muttered, pacing up and down. Of course, he'd want to pin it on anyone but his own elf. And then he sacked her? Yes, said Hermione in a heated voice. He sacked her, just because she hadn't stayed in her tent and let herself get trampled. Hermione, would you give it a rest with the elf? Said Ron. Cyrus shook his head and said, She's got the measure of Crouch better than you have, Ron. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. He ran a hand over his unshaven face, evidently thinking hard. All of these absences of Barty Crouch, he goes into the trouble of making sure his house elf saves him a seat at the Quidditch World Cup, but doesn't bother to turn up and watch. He works. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Yeah, that's all I can read. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to read page 26. Peace out. Yes, peace out. Zip. Close. Peace.